Quidditch, everyone's favourite sport. Definitely better than football. Sorry, Dean. In typical fashion, Quidditch was not really done the justice that it deserved in the films. Surprise, surprise. So, in this video, I'm going to dive into the Gryffindor Quidditch season in the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone book, in all of its glory. Join me for the ride of your life, no pun intended. So, as we know, we learn about the wonders of Quidditch during Harry's first year at Hogwarts. So, let's recap. In a Quidditch team, we've got one seeker, one keeper, two beaters, and three chasers. Or so Oliver Wood tells us. The chasers are responsible for throwing the quaffle into one of the three hoops that are on each end of the pitch. Every goal scored earns 10 points for the scoring team, and there is only one quaffle in the game. Now, the keeper is responsible for stopping the quaffles going through the hoops. The beaters are responsible for stopping the bludgers, which are balls that fly around bashing into everyone, from hitting their own team members. And the beaters are also responsible for whacking the bludgers into members of the opposing team. I believe there are two bludgers in the game. Now, that leaves the seeker. The seeker's job, as I'm sure everyone knows by now, is to catch the golden snitch. There is of course only one golden snitch in the game, and once caught it ends the game, and the team that catches it gets 150 points. To be honest, even though the seeker gets all the glory, I feel like if I was to play Quidditch, I would want to be a beater or a chaser. Tell me in the comments what position you would like to play if you were on a Quidditch team. Right, so the team that Harry joins in his first year consists of the keeper, Oliver Wood, who is also the captain, the first chaser, Alicia Spinett, the second chaser, Angelina Johnson, and the third chaser, Katie Bell. The beaters are Fred and George Weasley, of course. And then, to everyone's surprise, the seeker is Harry Potter. The first match of the Quidditch season in Harry's first year takes place in November, and it is Gryffindor versus Slytherin. Lee Jordan is, of course, doing the commentary. I love that they just let random students commentate the Quidditch matches, by the way. Imagine if the teachers did it. Can you imagine Snape commentating a Quidditch match? Anyway, so the match is being refereed by the legend that is Madam Hooch. Poor Madam Hooch was brutally left out of every film after the Philosopher's Stone film. Anyway, so on the Slytherin team, we've got the keeper, Miles Bletchley, the first chaser, Marcus Flint, who is also the team captain, the second chaser, Adrian Pusey, and the third chaser, now it's not actually specifically mentioned who this is, but I'm guessing it could be Montague, because we know he joins the Slytherin team later on in the book series as a chaser, so there is a chance that he was also a chaser in this one. Two beaters who, to be honest, I've got no idea who they are, and the seeker, Terence Higgs. By the way, if anyone actually knows what the two names are of the Slytherin beaters, then please pop them in the comments section. The match begins with a cheeky goal by Angelina Johnson, making it 10-0 to Gryffindor. Side note, Hagrid joins Hermione and Ron in the stands and specifically mentions that he had been watching from his hut with his binoculars, but then he decided to go to the stadium, as apparently it wasn't the same. Where is Hagrid's hut situated for him to get a good view of the match from there? Also, how powerful are those binoculars? I guess they're magic, right, but whenever I've used binoculars at a football match before to see the players more clearly, it's so hard to follow the play when you're zoomed in and it's moving quickly. It must be 10 times harder with Quidditch. Anyway, so, back to the match. Harry is zooming around in the air looking for the snitch, and he sees it. Terence Higgs, the Slytherin seeker, also sees it, and they both dive for it. Harry is faster than Terence Higgs, of course, but just as he is about to grab the snitch, Marcus Flint, the Slytherin captain, blocks him and the snitch disappears from sight. Apparently blocking in this way is a foul, who knew? And Gryffindor get a penalty. Dean Thomas shouts that Flint should get a red card. Dean, it's not the same as football. Now, let's just take a second to show appreciation for the exchanges between McGonagall and Lee Jordan. They're absolutely fantastic and they're not touched by the films. Probably some of my favourite moments from the books, to be honest. They're just so random. Why does McGonagall expect Lee Jordan to be unbiased, by the way? He's literally a Gryffindor and his two best mates are on the Gryffindor team. In what planet would he be unbiased? I absolutely love it though, it's so good. Anyway, back to the match, and Alicia Spinnet puts away the Gryffindor penalty, making it 20-0 to Gryffindor. And that is when it all starts to go wrong. Harry's broom starts acting possessed and zooming all over the place. We of course know that it was Quirrell putting a cheeky curse on Harry's broom to try and kill Harry, but apparently nobody in the game noticed and they just keep playing, despite the fact that Harry is zooming around in the air all over the place, which to be fair is probably what he does anyway. Now, no one that's playing notices immediately, but the crowd do notice. So, while Harry is flying off into the sky on his possessed broom, Marcus Flint grabs the quaffle and scores for Slytherin, making it 20-10 to Gryffindor. Is Flint the only player on Slytherin's team? He's definitely carrying them. It's at this point that Ron and Hermione decide that it must be Snape trying to murder Harry, so Hermione scoots off to set fire to him, as you do. Meanwhile, people in the match have finally realised that Harry's broom has lost the plot. The Weasley twins fly up to Harry to try and pull him off his broom onto one of their brooms. Now, this doesn't really work, so they drop back down just to be there to try and catch him if he falls off his broom. Meanwhile, somehow the match still hasn't been stopped. What is Madam Hooch doing? Isn't her one job to referee the match? Marcus Flint takes advantage of everyone staring at Harry's broomstick to score 5 more goals for Slytherin. So the score is now 60-20 to Slytherin. Seems fair. It's a shame that neither Madam Hooch nor any of the teachers in the crowd could have stopped the match or intervened to help Harry. Luckily, Hermione is there to save the day, and as we saw in the film, she sets fire to Snape whilst also knocking Quirrell over in the process, who is forced to stop muttering his little spells. Harry's broom is released from the curse, and somehow Harry catches the snitch in his mouth. It's not really explained how the snitch ended up in his mouth, but it's Harry, so who cares? So, the match ends and Gryffindor gets 150 points, making the final score 170-60 to Gryffindor. Right, going back to the Quirrell thing a sec, I don't really understand why Snape was muttering counter curses to try and save Harry from Quirrell. Like, if he suspected Quirrell was trying to kill Harry with a curse, rather than trying to save Harry with a counter curse, why not just turn around and smack him? Or fire some spells at him? Or tell someone else that Quirrell was trying to kill Harry? Seems a bit suspect to just sit there silently muttering. Also, after the match, if Snape suspected Quirrell was trying to kill Harry, surely you would report him to Dumbledore. I'm guessing he did, right? I'm not actually sure, because it's never mentioned specifically that Snape did report Quirrell to Dumbledore at this point in the story. But he definitely should have done. It's a school. Quirrell was literally trying to murder a student in front of hundreds of people. He should have been put on a performance plan at the very least. Right, it's time for match 2 of the season. So, it's Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff. Now, in the run-up to this one, Harry is absolutely cacking it because Snape is refereeing. He and Ron and Hermione are all convinced that Snape is doing it because he wants to kill Harry. Obviously, the reality is that Snape wanted to be closer to the match in case Quirrell tried to kill Harry. Again, not that this really makes too much sense. If Quirrell tries to do something again, like the muttering curse thing that he did in the first match, Snape would have been less able to counter it than last time, considering this time he'd be all busy like refereeing the Quidditch match. Strange. Snape's behaviour in this book is rather questionable. Anyway, so Ron and Hermione have been secretly practicing the leg locker curse in case they need to use it on Snape, but they needn't worry because Dumbledore is there, which puts Harry's mind at ease. So anyway, as usual, Lee Jordan is commentating, and as mentioned, Snape is refereeing. Poor Madam Hooch. Surely this is like her main job. Like, yeah, she does a few flying lessons every now and then, but aside from that, refereeing the Quidditch matches is like her main gig. There's what, like 6 matches a year in the Quidditch Cup? She can't have much to do throughout the year, to be fair, can she? Snape refereeing this match is probably well annoying for her. I bet she really looks forward to the matches. Poor Madam Hooch. Maybe she should have took one of Snape's potions lessons to see how he likes it. Anyway, so the Gryffindor lineup is obviously the same as the last match, but I've got absolutely no idea what the Hufflepuff lineup was. I'm pretty sure not a single one of the Hufflepuff players was actually mentioned. So, the match kicks off. In the stands, Malfoy, Crabbe and Goyle are sat behind Ron, Hermione and Neville, and Malfoy is poking Ron in the back of the head. because why not? Meanwhile, in the match, George Weasley smacks a bludger at Snape. Can't blame him really, it is Snape. Snape gives Hufflepuff a penalty in response to it. Back in the stands, Malfoy is being Malfoy and bullying Neville. Snape awards Hufflepuff another penalty for nothing whatsoever. I'm not really sure what the score is at this point because it's never specifically mentioned, but Hufflepuff have had 2 penalties, so I'm going to speculate that at this point it's 20-0 to Hufflepuff. A couple of minutes later, Harry has seen the snitch and he's gone into a massive dive to try and get to it. Back in the stands, Malfoy is still being his usual self. Ron absolutely loses it and dives on top of Malfoy, and then Neville, Crabbe and Goyle join in, and they're all basically laying into each other. Hermione doesn't seem too concerned, as she's too busy watching Harry zooming after the snitch. Harry, being the hero that he is, catches the snitch and the match is over after like 5 minutes of play. I'm going to guess that the final score was 150 to 20 to Gryffindor. I'm not really sure though, because it's never mentioned, but I suppose it doesn't really matter. Gryffindor did win regardless. Now, match 3 of the season, the final Gryffindor match, is Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. Unfortunately though, I don't have too much to say about this one because Harry misses it. He's too busy recovering from saving the Philosopher's Stone from Quirrell. I know, shocking. Quidditch matches should definitely come first. So, cause Harry isn't there, and apparently Gryffindor couldn't find anyone to play as Seeker in Harry's place, they get absolutely battered by Ravenclaw. In fact, they suffer their biggest defeat in 300 years. It's specifically mentioned in the next book. So, we know that Gryffindor won 2 matches and lost 1. But we also know that Gryffindor didn't win the Quidditch Cup this year, which means another team likely got 3 wins, which could only have been Ravenclaw. So I deduced that the final standings were Gryffindor beat Slytherin, Gryffindor beat Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw beat Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw beat Slytherin, Ravenclaw beat Gryffindor, and then Slytherin beat Hufflepuff. I actually don't have any evidence that Slytherin did beat Hufflepuff, but I'm going to infer it because it's Hufflepuff, and let's be fair, they're rubbish at everything. But, as you'll have noticed, they didn't show the Gryffindor-Hufflepuff match in the film. Sad really, because it would have been worth it just to see Snape flying around on a broomstick. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, drop it a like and subscribe to the channel for more.